Welcome to the Old Souls and Seekers podcast, brought to you by Satori Prime. If you're anything like us, you've been around and around the personal development and mindset block quite a few times. You've read the books, watched the videos, attended the seminars, and even worked with a coach or two, and yet you still find yourself searching for more. You may even feel stuck or that you should be farther along than where you are right now. And after doing over a decade of mindset work, we've come to this realization. Mindset work is like a small hit of dopamine that distracts you from your true work. You get these little hits of feeling better, only to be met with the same underlying conditions and patterns over and over again. Now, mindset was an important part of your evolution as well as ours, but it hits a plateau, and now you find yourself ready for that deeper layer of growth and expansion. If you're listening to this podcast, then you're ready to get off that Ferris wheel. This podcast is only for those that are ready to dive deep and do the real inner healing work. For those that are ready to move past more information into actual experiences. If you're looking for more understanding, then you've come to the wrong place. This is a home for old souls ready to fully embrace and remember who they truly are. Ready to make a profound difference in their lives and in the lives of others. So welcome home, dear one. We're excited to be part of your journey.
I'd love to start with today of just like creating personal intentions of why we're here. So if you're like brand new to our group, we're not going to spend a lot of time doing any introductions on who Elon and I are and what the group is about. You have the welcome post and the follow-up emails to kind of take you through all the resources that are here for you. And I really just want to get to content so you guys get as much value from this training as possible. So if your question is, who are these two and why are they staying in front of me, saying the things that they're saying, again, you got a welcome post and check your emails when you join the group, and they'll take you through the early training that we recommend in the group, the meditations, and some of the practices that we are the central focus of what we do here. We teach what we call as the awareness method, and it's a holistic approach to transformation, growth, and healing. And with that, I thought it'd be really good for everyone that gets on here, and you could put it in the chat box. It's like just keeping something in the background as a context. Okay, so here's what that means is, I'm sure you've all heard intentions, right? Now, a lot of times we say intentions audibly. And I want to say what's important is that like your field, your energetic field actually holds an intention in it all the time. Okay. For a lot of us, that intention is pain and sacrifice, tumultuousness, survival. And that it's not like you chose to have that, but there's like an energetic makeup to you, like an energetic body, and it holds a specific intention. And it is that energetic makeup. It is that intention that actually is in co-regulation and co-relationship with the field. And it has a lot to do with why your reality looks the way it does, why your relationships look the way it does, right? And so a lot of us don't wake up into our day choosing intention. We kind of like wake up into a specific intention that we've always had. And so part of our intention, to keep using the word here, is to bring you on to these trainings to help you shift that, right? Like how do we consciously bring awareness to not just our condition mechanism, which is like our mindset and things like that, but how do we get into the deeper underlayers that you really can't gain access to through the mind? And so one of the things that we always want to do is we want to bring attention to our intentions. And even when you're here on this training, it's like, why are you here? Like, what's your intention? If it's just here to listen and get good information, that's fine. But we would actually offer that's a really low level, not like a bad level, but like a low level of what you can extract from being on these trainings. Okay. And so usually people are around our environment because they want help, a breakthrough, or they want to upgrade in one area of their life. And it's usually something along health, wealth, or relationships. So what I'd love to just invite you guys to do is to just take a kind of a moment and reflect on what's going on in your life right now. And like, what could use your awareness? What could use your attention and your intention right now? Okay. This doesn't have to mean that something is wrong in this area. It can mean like you're doing really well in business, but there's room for improvement. You want to do better. Your relationships are great, but there's like maybe there's one or two where the richness isn't there and the depth isn't there. And so in the chat box, if you don't mind, just go ahead and write like, what's the area of life you want to focus on, and whether you want to share that intention or not is fine. You can share it inside, like in your own awareness, or you could share it to the group, just to kind of get a dialogue going. And my request here is as you're listening to this training, is that you look at this training, at what we share here with you guys, and the practices that we share here with you guys, and look through the lens of that intention. Okay, so it's like, hey, if I was to apply this to this area, how would that shift that? Or if I apply it, let's see what that does. And kind of what we always say is like, run an experiment, just kind of have your own thing. Okay. And the other thing that I want to kind of offer that we don't do here regularly, but is definitely more of a practice inside of our training programs, is creating a coherent field with everybody here. Now, I don't want to take a long time doing this, but I do want to just guide you a little bit, because again, there are endless scientific peer-reviewed studies over the last 30 years, 40 years, and anybody who's been in the energetic practices knows this to a fault. The intention, the quality of the energy that a group brings forward together will change dramatically what content can come through. And so the more connection that we establish as a community here, even on these live trainings, even with the people who are watching this on replay later, still get to be part of this exercise. If we all just take a moment, you take a deep breath, and the breath is for two reasons. Number one, when we breathe deeply, you don't breathe deeply when you don't feel safe. So we want to bring safety into the system. So a deep breath, it tells your biology, I'm safe. And when we're safe, a lot more can happen in the system for transformation, growth, and healing. Nothing happens in the system in terms of healing at all until the body is relaxed and safe. That's why meditation is so key. Okay. So again, taking a deep breath, telling our biology that we're safe right now. And then somehow, some way, just bringing some gentle, very gentle, soft awareness towards your heart space. We're very much up here. Most of our lives, you're probably listening to this content from up here. So it's fine if some of it is up here and there's a little chattering box that keeps going. Just an invitation, though, for as a community to find the heart space together. Again, continuing to do that breath. And also recognizing that you are listening to this as a community. And there's other people here, other people who will listen to this for potentially weeks or months out from now as well. And so just becoming, again, somehow, some way with your awareness, becoming conscious of the greater whole that are participating in this particular teaching, and whatever teaching comes through me and Elon today in terms of the topic that was picked. So just becoming aware of everybody in that field. And we're also doing this through our heart space, just noticing through the heart space that there's a collective heart that we can connect to also. Nice. And see if you can notice the subtle shifts that dropping your awareness from your mind to your heart space, even if you find there's some toggling happening, like you're up here, then you're down here, noticing the heart space. You don't have to hold it like it's some hard job. You actually want to drop the effort from this. You want to let go of any effort that you might be putting into this. And just noticing it's more of just orientation of your awareness. Cool. And just so kind of creating that cohesive field. Okay. So the topic that Elon and I kind of came through for us is really talking about this, like the mental imprisonment of the mind. And I shared about this on the Telegram channel a little bit as well. Elon's got some cool stories to share. Then we'll go into a little bit more training. But I wanted to just give you guys context, because part of this is like you taking responsibility. And part of it is also recognizing that you didn't do this to yourself. Like whatever it is that you're in, whatever situation that you're in, much of what we are, probably all of what we are, is based on conditioning, right? Like humans are habitual, conditioned beings. And there's so much more to us, but for most people, they're living this kind of like fractional reality that has been conditioned. And so, part of what's created this prison in our mind is that we are living in an experience, for most of us, again, that the way that we experience the five world, the reality, and the way that we test our reality is through our five senses. And it doesn't seem to be much beyond that. And we're here to kind of peel back the layer and let you know that there is actually a whole lot more going on than just what your five senses can explore. And now our five senses have been conditioned, right? From the moment you pretty much went to school, or even with your parents at home, because this is what was done to them, which is why it's not their fault. Whatever you grew up inside of, that's what they learned. And usually what parents did to us or didn't do to us, or how they showed up or didn't show up, is a muddled down and watered down version of what was done to them, right? Because usually we kind of like evolve slowly and we're like, oh, that wasn't so good. Maybe I shouldn't hit my kids, or maybe I shouldn't speak to my children this way. Like that, that's part of the evolution of what we are. But what we find is, because almost all of us have been through traditional school systems, schooling is kind of based around, okay, like a government or some kind of authority figure has shaped and said to you, here's what history is. They've told that to the teacher. They tell them that's a curriculum. And then the teacher says, here's what happened. And then asks the kids to tell you, okay, like, tell me what happened. And if the kid, the child, right, it's like kind of a sensitive child, doesn't reflect back those exact words to the teacher, then the child gets a bad grade. The bad grades leads to this feeling of being incompetent, which feels like a loss of connection with the teacher. And then perhaps the parents are upset at the child for not getting a good grade, and now a loss of connection with the parent. And a loss of connection from an adult as a child, who's supposed to be your protector and your safety mechanism, actually triggers these feelings, right? These like subtle energies inside of our body of not feeling safe. When we don't feel safe, then it starts kind of working on these parts inside of ourselves that feel like, if I'm not safe, then I might die. It can go like that deep into the system. And so we see this, if you guys just look around the world, if you look on social media, if you look on how people are responding to COVID and vaccines, not taking any side here on any issues, I'm just more looking at the macro, the meta, is like, this is what's at play, is this relationship between the submissive person to an authority figure. And we see, again, at every hierarchy level in corporations, we see this. When you have a boss, we see this. When we have parents, we see this. With teachers, we see this. With government, we see this, right? So I just want to kind of like say to you that like the system is built a bit around creating these conditionings that create these imprisonments. And so again, like part of it is what happened to you, and part of it is really not your fault. It's just been this dialogue that has been passed down for thousands of years of generations now. And that's what we're up against. We're learning, how do we feel underneath the surface of all that, recognizing that perhaps we will not get out of that conditioning through more conditioning. Like we can't layer on more conditioning on top of the conditioning we have, hoping that, if I just add on more conditioning, I'm going to get out of this. In fact, it's not a learning.
We sure as heck try.
We sure as heck try, right? By adding more books and classes and things like this, we're actually pointing at an unlearning here, not a learning. We actually want to unlearn some of the things that we've learned. And again, we can't necessarily do that through the mind. So I wanted to kind of start with that as a context today. I think Elon had some stories and stuff he wanted to share, and then we'll kind of see where that goes. Yeah.
Yeah. This whole conversation kind of came about. I was meditating on the beach the other day, and so today is actually the Jewish New Year. So for all my fellow Jews out there, L'Shana Tova. And I was meditating, and I probably just thinking about like the new year and the energy around it. And there's just a beautiful opportunity to create newly. And so for those of you that know or don't know, I've obviously just moved to Florida. So all of this is very new to me. And I'm still in this like dream pinch me state of like, am I going to wake up and someone's going to tell me like, you got to get on the flight and go back home or whatever it is. But it's all feeling like very vacation-y. And so yesterday we even sat here. So after the meditation, like one of the things that became very clear, how many of you guys, when you meditate, your focus is on trying to quiet your mind? And then when the mind isn't quiet, there's like a little bit of upset and frustration of like, oh, stop. And then you like start, like shut off the noise or shut off the thinking and you bring it back, right? It's like a very, a practice that a lot of people do. And so after meditating daily for years and years and years, I've gotten to this point where I can now watch the part that is always trying to figure stuff out. So I don't know if like, when you meditate, maybe it's like trying to plan out your day or trying to figure out this situation or whatever it is. And so now I just get to like watch it. And it's cool because I'm not in it. I'm literally just watching it. So as I'm watching it, I just turned 40 this year. We moved to this new place. And for whatever reason, this new year feels very different than any other new year that I've experienced or one that I can remember in a very, very, very long time. Because it's like everything is new. And I was saying yesterday at Rosh Hashanah dinner to my family that when we left New York, it almost felt like it wasn't like we started a new chapter. It's like we closed a whole book. So it's like 13 and a half years of this book that it felt like was complete. And we put it up on the shelf and we're like, all right. And then we left the house and it just felt like that was starting to write a new book. And so I'm meditating and I have this part that I'm watching, trying to figure this whole thing out. And I have this message come clearly through and it says, you don't have to figure anything out. And I was like, interesting. You don't have to figure anything out. And I can tell you that just from my personal experience over the last year or two has really been a shift into, or a shift out of the figuring it out, because that's one of my strong suits is like, just figure shit out, make things happen, figure shit out, make things happen. It's like what's been running the show. And what I realized yesterday is like, that's what wrote that book for the last 13 and a half years. Mm-hmm. And as I transition into this whole new arena, my curiosity and what I really, really want to get practice more and more of is the next book that I write. I don't want to write from that habit. And I don't want to write from that paradigm of constantly doing and constantly making shit happen. Because look, I know I can do it. I have tons of proof. There's no doubt, right? Like, and what I'm exploring, I know what Guy's been exploring, is this ability to surrender and to let go and to trust in the divine, in the energy, in God, in the universe, whatever sings to you. And the more that I've done that, the more my life has turned around into this state of like a dream-like state. The everything that's happened that's brought me here today is also, you moved the screen.
Yeah, I was trying to flip you to the big one.
Everything that's happened that got me here today, like I had one of our friends say to me the other day, she's like, oh my God, you're so lucky that you moved to Florida. Like, did you move because you knew all this stuff was going to happen in New York? And I was like, how the fuck would I have known what was going to happen in New York or is happening, all over the world? Like, my human mind, with all of the information and all the stuff that I have, there's no way that it was going to be able to like predict what's happening. But something, when I walked into the development where we're building a house, something was like, it was very loud. It was like, here, now. Mm-hmm. And as crazy as that sounds to maybe some of you, it's like, I have just learned to trust that inner part of me. I don't question it anymore. Like, there's no need to question it. I might not understand it. It might not make sense to me. It might scare the fuck out of me. Like, all that could be there, and I still listen to the voice. My practice is now listen to that versus trying to figure it out. Because if I had to map out how to move my family from New York to here in a span of 4.5 months, there's no amount of figuring it out that would have happened. I would have tried to figure it out and talked myself out of it 3 steps into it, because it just would have been too hard. Too many variables, too many things, this and that. And the way this whole thing has flowed from finding the place and putting the deposit, to my wife, who is a New York City attorney, being allowed to work from home from here, to my kids transitioning into schools beautifully, to like selling our house with ease, to like literally every step of the way, just being guided and guided and guided. I just said to one of our clients, she just messaged me today, that like a miracle that someone basically is funding her to be in one of our programs. And I was like, I say this all the time, like all you have to do is listen to the deeper inner part of you and say yes. That's it. Most of you are out there trying to figure out more and more and more complicated ways to solve your life issues because the simple one didn't work. So it's got to be more complicated. And then the complicated one doesn't work. So it's like, oh, it's got to be more complicated. And you end up running from more complicated to more and more complicated to more complicated. You get exhausted and nothing works. It's scary as hell to let go and surrender. It really is. I'm not taking anything away from that. It really, really is.
Yeah, it's like the easiest and the hardest thing.
Yeah, like
sorry, and I really want to bolster Elon's credentials here on this, because it's not just like a passe. Like he was not, for example, Elon was looking for a place to move for a number of years. I've been trying to convince him to move out to California for about 10 years now. And him and his wife they were about to go to Europe, or they wanted to maybe do a trip to the Northwest. And I said, Elon, like you've been to Europe many times. I'm like, go do like a nature trip, like go really explore the Pacific Northwest. They drove basically up the coast, which is beautiful, in like Oregon, Washington area here in the States is absolutely stunningly beautiful. And he comes back home and he says, you know what, that was all really beautiful. I've been looking for a place to live. But I kind of realized after this trip, he goes, I love where I am. Love our life. Because I'm kind of planting my flag here. And for him, planting his flag was they had been putting off redoing their kitchen at their house, because
redoing anything at the house. Yeah, I didn't want to invest in the house, but I knew it was going to leave.
Yeah, they weren't sure if they wanted to make that further commitment to the home. They'd been there for like 13 years, but it was like, hey, if we leave in the next year or two, what's the point, right? So Elon's like, all right, I'm gonna redo my kitchen, which is like a big planting my flag here for the foreseeable future. And I said and I told him, I'm like, famous last words. But I was kind of joking, but it's kind of what I've seen. It's like when somebody becomes so sure of something, that's when reality's like, haha, like let me show you. And I shit you not, it was maybe like COVID hit, their kitchen was in kind of shambles. By the time they got it done to the time they went to Florida and just we're trying to like get out of New York for a few months to hang out with our parents in a different environment. My wife and I get there, and the first day that we get there to visit, Elon and his wife are going to go house shopping. No, they're not even taking it seriously. They're just like, hey, like window shopping. And it was on that day basically that they came back and started realizing that there might be this change here. And so within like a week, they kind of decided maybe, and with like a week later, they're like, all right, we're going to do it. But that's what I want. The reason I want to say credentials is like, that's not where he was thinking their life was going, but something came and moved him, right? Like how many of you guys have ever been talking to somebody or you've been on this training and you get this feeling, you hear something that gets shared here and you get this feeling and it moves you on the inside. Like you have an emotional response. Like, everyone always gets excited when they get goosebumps. That's, by the way, I really want to put your awareness on like goosebumps, or like when you get those surges of energy in the body that are very pleasant. To me, people don't give enough awareness to that. That is a full body yes. That's when your body's like, yes, that's what it's trying to tell you. And I have done long-term meditations where you do like 10-day silent meditations, and I could tell you gain what ends up happening there. For me, what happened was I got such awareness and sensitivity over the energy of my body that at will, I was moving energy in my body. And I remember it hit me really strong when I was doing that, because I would move energy down my body and I would see my hairs stand up on end. So if you think like when you get those goosebumps and you see everything standing up on end, what's the only other time that you see that happen is when you run electricity close to your body, right? And so I was like, oh my God, that's the electrical input output of my body that now I'm conscious of. And my awareness is moving that in my body. And I can literally see as the wave would come, my hair would stand up on end. So when you're having an experience that's moving you, you could say that your body is relaxing in such a way that energy is moving very rapidly in the body. And it causes that really beautiful sensation that I'm even having now as I name it. So I just want to kind of like point to that when you guys are like, you hear something and you're like, yeah, and then you get that experience, something in you is trying to speak to you, like give you guidance. And that's how it is. We're all being guided. And a lot of us, because we are so locked into the conditioning of what reality is, who we're supposed to be, the role we're supposed to play, the careers we're supposed to have, the parents we're supposed to be, fill in the blank, we miss the cues. And so unless we start doing some work to relax these systems, then we can keep missing the cues, or we only get a few of them versus seeing that it's constantly happening, constantly trying to guide you and constantly trying to bring you to a really much more enhanced life than you've ever experienced.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's like, what would it take? Because I know you hear this, and just tell me if this resonates just in the comment box. Like if you're kind of picking up and tracking this, like this idea of letting go of the doing, the figuring it all out. And you might really be stuck in there. Like, so I acknowledge that, and just realizing like, oh, there's this other place that I really want to play, right? Like I really want to play in that area of allowing, right? So let me know in just the chat box if that's something that you resonate with. What naturally like leads you, and I can share with you dozens upon dozens of stories of how this has just shown up time and time and time again in all of our lives. The ultimate question though, right? If like you're of the camp of, I want to be there, right? Like I want to really truly experience life from that place of trust and faith and surrender and letting go and not have to figure it out every step of the way. The next question is always going to be, well, how do I do that? And even the part that's asking the how do I do that, that's still the part that's trying to figure it out and do it. But now you're telling it like, oh, well, instead of figuring out all this other stuff, why don't you figure out how to do that, right? It's like you're using the same mechanism. And this is why I said like it's the simplest and also one of the most difficult things, is because it always comes back to me for the idea of support and like truly feeling support. Not the notion of, not the concept of, not the like, oh, I know I'm supported. I mean like actually feeling support. And the more that we've been able to, through our practices, bring support into our system, like more safety gets stabilized as more support is being held there. And it feels like, I'm going to try to transmit this. So like if you're sitting right now, see if you can like let go into being held by your seat.
Or at the very least, notice that you're sitting on something and that something is supporting your body weight.
And then as you like do this practice, see if you can notice that there's certain parts that you're still holding. And then let go of those two. And see if you can notice that it's like, it's not just the chair or the sofa, that there's an actual energetic hand, like the hand of God, that is holding you, has always been holding you, has always been there. Doesn't discriminate about your age, your color, your sex, your gender, how shitty you were today. It doesn't care, just always there. And allowing yourself to just feel and lean back into that. And you might notice as you do that, that certain parts of your body that you always kind of hold really tight, maybe it's around your neck or your lower back, or maybe your shoulder. Notice how you can let those go too. And just fully lean back into that support. Having support and knowing that it's always going to be there for you is what allows you to be really brave and bold and make life-altering decisions with an ease that other people look at like they just cannot comprehend. And it doesn't come from a place like of I'm just smarter, so I figured out all the steps. On the contrary, being able to make bold moves like that, it's like you've given up that you will ever know what the 12th step is.
Mm-hmm.
All that you've trusted is that I fully trust in this energy that is wanting to move me because I know it's always there with me, guiding me, supporting me. And as long as I move as a yes through life, knowing that, the next step will always show itself to me in its time, not in the time that my mind wants, not in the time, just in its time. And the most, like, whatever you can plan and structure and figure out for your life is still, just let this sink in, is still being built by the same material that you currently have in your life. Right? Like you can take apart the brick by brick house and you can reformat it. But the bricks aren't going to turn to steel or gold or whatever the heck it is. You're just moving the same parts around. But when you let go of all of it, you get to build whatever that thing is next in all new material with things that you can't even see or comprehend because they're just not in the five senses that you're used to creating your 3D world. And that's the shit that takes your breath away. It's the stuff that like you walk through life, you're like, how is this happening?
So I want to explore something here because you had mentioned something. So like how many of you guys have followed some intuitive hit and then you're like, whoa, this is amazing. And then a short period after that, something goes awry and there is like a element of disappointment that arrives. How many of you guys can relate to that experience? And so what I want to talk about here, what Elon kind of brought up is like, you know, this, like I said, surrender is the easiest thing to do and the hardest thing to do because in practice, it's really simple, but letting go, trusting that you will be held or that, you know, something's going to come along and help some circumstance in person really takes something. Like how many of you guys have really, this is something we used to ask all the time, as like you've been in a really shitty situation. And so it's just like, you're like plummeting to earth, right? Like it just feels like you just nosedived off a building, but like right before you hit the ground, something unexpected happens. And it almost feels as if like the hands of grace are kind of like scooping you up. And like, if you guys have had this experience, just say I in the chat box, because I want everyone to see in our experience, asking thousands of people that question. I think everyone has always raised their hand. I can't say definitively everyone, but like almost everyone. And I want people to see that that's a universal experience. It's like when the going gets its toughest, suddenly, as if by magic itself, something happens. And so we want to kind of explore this phenomenon of something coming out of the blue to help. Because really what ends up happening when you've tried everything, when you've done all the things, you've listened to all the opinions, here's how you fix this, here's how you do this, here's how you make it better, and nothing works because you're still taking all that information in from the same conditioned mind. And so the only thing that can condition mind is reproduce variations of the conditioning. It literally cannot come up with something new. It is trapped in its own illusionary state. And until that illusion is popped, so to speak, right, it like disappears and you step into a new reality, nothing exists. But right when it's the most challenging is the moment you're like, fuck it, I give up, which is you saying, I surrender. And you let go and you throw the oars. And that's the moment where you're like, all right, storm, just do what you're going to do. And something happens. This like unexpected situation happens. So I want to point to it because to a degree, we've all unconsciously done this and have taken not advantage of, but participated and co-regulated with a consciousness that's responding to you when you say, I give up. So what we're looking to do is like, how do we empower that? Because when we say escaping the prison of the mind, all we're saying is stop trying so hard. You're trying so hard from what you know. And there is that line, again, I shared it on Telegram, which is, again, it's a paraphrase of Einstein's quotes. It's like, if you ask a fish to climb a tree, the fish thinks it's an idiot for life. And so most of us are living inside of an environment where we've never been given an opportunity to even truly explore our passions, the things that we naturally gravitate towards. For me and Elon, it's this kind of work, right? Like if you guys come here and they're like, wow, these guys really know their stuff or they're genius in this space. Thank you for that, first of all. The second of all, it's because we are naturally inclined and pulled in this direction. We feel the same way about our health and fitness. It's like, so those things seem like easy to us, but it's because we naturally invest our time in them and we've kind of learned these skills and practices to the degree where it's like we only do what we love.
Yeah.
And so it seems like we're geniuses, but like I will say this, like everybody here is a genius if they were doing what they loved. And that's your gift to humanity. That's what you bring through. That's the genius you bring through. However, we've had structures that have not allowed us to, for a long time, but that's changing now and has changed for a long time now, have not allowed us to monetize or get an exchange of value in the world for those skills. But that time is over. Like that's what we're stepping into fully. And as most of society automates and makes jobs in obsolescence, the only thing we're going to have space for and give value back to society is our zone of genius, which is amazing and should give you hope for the future of what we can become. But Elon said something really important there. He's like, you'll step into something, you'll feel this thing and you'll say, you know what, this time I'm going to participate. And then something magical happens. Then you go back into your conditioning and you go, why isn't it happening faster?
Yeah.
And Elon kind of said, this is how it works. It's like, it has its own timing. I also want to say this, your healing has its own timing.
Yeah.
Your body has its own timing. The mind works at a different clock because the mind sees things as linear, progressive, step 1, step 2, step 3, here's how we get there. And so it seems like I have to do something to get there. But again, we now know that time and space don't even exist, right? This is quantum physics 101 now. Like it should be hopefully well-versed for people. And so like if we're living outside of time, then if this is obsessed with it, then you can see why so much upset gets lived on as we continue to just localize our awareness here. But you're not here. This is not who you are. You are not what's inside this mind. You are the awareness that's connecting to this mind, but you are not this mind. And so what I want to point to is the gap. What happens in the gap? Because that gap is really important because you're going to follow the intuition. Then there's going to be a gap.
Yep.
And then this other amazing synchronistic magical thing is waiting for you over here. But in this timeline, right, in the mind's timeline between here and here, the mind's like, oh shit, 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 freaking out, running its programs, and in fact, slowing this process down of what's actually happening here. Because every time you intervene, every time you interject, every time you try to manage, What have you done? You've taken yourself out of that quotient of surrender, so to speak. So what we do with this time in this gap is crucial to how often we experience miracle after miracle after miracle, or and by miracle I mean like synchronicity or magic, or like a sudden, like what's the word I'm looking for here? Not phenomenon. What's that movie? Serendipitous act, like something serendipitous happens in your life, right? So that's where Elon and I really, like, now that I'm thinking about it, that's where we focus. How do we practice and notice what's happening between this time and that time? Because what's inevitably going to come up, and totally natural, is all your fear.
Yep.
That you're inadequate, that you're doing it wrong, that this doesn't work, that they were right, that I should just follow the herd, even though the herd is really fucking unhappy and scared most of the time, right? Like all these different kinds of things. And so we really want to look at what do we do between that time. And so look, again, we offer you guys in this group meditations. And these are not, I'm telling you right now, the meditations that we offer here in this group, these are not meditations of like, hey, go quiet your mind. That's cute. We welcome you quieting your mind, but that's not what we're about here. We are, like I'm telling you, what we really care about is you cultivating an experience, a direct experience inside your body of safety and well-being. Now, if some of you guys are like, I don't even know what the fuck that means, because you haven't felt safe and you don't know what well-being is. You think, I just want more money. I just want better relationships. I just want health. And I'm going to ask you to look deeper than those initial desires, because that's what your mind thinks it needs to solve this problem.
Mm-hmm.
And what's underneath it, and why it never changes, is because you don't have safety and you don't have well-being. When you don't feel safe in your relationships, even if it's at the subtle level, they're not going to get better. You guys get that? They're always going to show up and perpetrate you or violate you in some way, or however it shows up in your relationship, right? Like there's a lot of dynamics there. If you don't feel safe and well in your system, then taking risks in your business, you're never going to do it. And nothing happens in business without you taking some sort of risk and trusting that it's going to work out. And even when it doesn't work out, like financially doesn't work out, that doesn't mean it didn't work out, by the way. It means that you're now learning something that was crucial for the next step. And so when you always measure things the way that the mind measures things is it's success if I have money, it's not success if I don't have money. And I'm telling you, we fall into this trap just like everybody else. The difference is, what do we do at that time? When that fear arises, in order to enhance our experience of safety and well-being, and as we do that and bring more safety, well-being into our system, what we find is that the gaps become much shorter.
Yep.
The synchronistic stuff starts happening a lot more often. Okay, same thing for your health. If you don't have a positive body image, right? Like that's what the mind's going to say. Oh, I don't have a positive body image. Let me tell myself I'm beautiful 6,000 times a day. Okay, great. You do that, but every time you tell yourself you're beautiful, what's really happening is you collapse in on yourself because there's a part of you that does not believe that. No safety, no well-being for that part. Not going to change your habits, not going to change your thoughts. Okay? And this is where most people operate. They're like, oh, I just got to tell myself something different. Yeah, that works when there's alignment all the way through.
Yeah.
And your word really has impact. When you feel it here and you say it, it's like that train has left the building. It's on a maglev 500 mile per hour train. You are going to start seeing things in your life shift very quickly. But when you're trying to play the convincing game inside your own system, you've all done it. You know how it goes. You can't lie to your own biomechanism suit. Like it doesn't work that way. You can lie to everybody on the planet. You can't lie to hair. You can lie to everybody. You can create all the identities that you want, all the ego trauma that you want. You can do all that stuff, make people believe that you're amazing, da-da-da-da-da. Inside, it's going to be like, don't know what you're talking about. So what we really want to focus on is that gap space. Is there anything you wanted to add on that? Anything that came through for you?
There was, and then I forgot. So go ahead.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Elon and I like to think of things in like three levels. First, it's get your mind right. Okay. Like understand how this mechanism works, because if you don't, it's always going to take advantage of you. It's a smart chess player, right? If I sat down with a chess player, I don't know chess well, but I know the basics. He's going to run the table on me every fucking time. I better have some awareness of what's happening on that table beyond just like the positions that the pawns and the rooks and stuff can move around in, right? Like I need to understand how the game is played. If I understand how the game is played, greater awareness, I can bring a better strategy to what happens when I'm losing in that game, right? So same thing in life. It's like, if you don't understand how this works, it's going to tough battle. And it makes everything else harder, because even if you move into some of the greater practices, energetic stuff, integration becomes difficult because the mind runs away. And then so you have an amazing opening experience, transformative, and then the mind comes back in with all its conditioning and it just pulls you out of that state. Okay, so the mind is really, really important. After that is really starting to do some of the energetic work. Now, we call our programs emotional intelligence programs because that's the known vernacular in the space. But if we really could call it what we wanted to call it, it's energy. It's energy practices. It's energy and awareness practices. These are very ancient, proven, fantastic practices, right? And they're life altering. So you'll hear a lot of people say, like, you gotta feel it to heal it. Okay, how many of you guys have ever heard, like, you gotta feel it to heal it? And that's what a lot of people think of when they think of emotional intelligence. And in a way, they're right. And in a way, they're not. Okay, so here's what I mean by that. Yes, you gotta feel it to heal it. But how many of you guys have been in a really like down, depressed type of mood and like feeling those emotions? You're not like, okay, I feel better now. Now that I've felt my depression, like everything is great. You know, it doesn't work that way. It's just like sometimes when you feel your sadness, you go deeper into the sadness. Sometimes when you feel your rage, you find yourself even more enraged. Like it doesn't fix it. And so that could be confusing to people when they're like, feel it to heal it. You're like, motherfucker, I'm feeling this shit all the time.
I'm trying not to feel it.
Yeah, I'm trying not to feel. It's too much feeling, right? So like, fuck you and your training and get the hell away from me. And so that's kind of what we want to point to, is like that aspect of it may not be right. And for a lot of talk therapy and these kind of therapies where they're like, go into the experience, and you're like going into it, and then like at the end, you actually feel more traumatized. Chances are you probably are. And why that is because almost every practice that Elon and I have ever found, while it might be a really good practice, and the fundamentals of it are really, really strong in terms of how human development works, what they don't bring into it is awareness and energy. Okay, so here's what I mean by that. When you feel an emotion, but the mind is still hooked into its conditioning, then what's watching the experience is the conditioning that's creating the experience. Okay, so what's watching the experience is the conditioned mind that's watching what's happening down here. Oh, I'm having this emotion. And when you say I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm this, I'm that, it's going to be maybe controversial, but you're actually not accurate in what you're saying. Now, in your experience, it's accurate, but what you're really getting is it's a judgment that the conditioning that was given to you is having about this experience. Maybe when you were sad in your family, that was like apprehensible. Like, you don't get to be sad in our family. Maybe in your family, you weren't able to get angry. Or maybe like no one smiled all the time. And so you might have conditioning that says, hey, boys don't cry. Girls don't complain. And so when there is a complaint that comes up, there's also a judgment that comes in. And so how are you going to feel what's actually happening when what's assessing what's happening is conditioning? Okay, so it's like you're watching from here. So that's not feeling it to heal it. That's just feeling it to re-traumatize. That's just looping in your own shit over and over again. So here's what changes everything is when we even in our intuitive mind program, which by the way, I have a gift for you guys about that today. So if you hang on for a few more minutes, I'll give you a gift on that one. Okay. The first thing we teach people is you are not the mind. You are not all these things. And this is conceptual, but we take them into experience so they can experience it. So it's not concept. Okay. You are not your mind. You're not your body. You are the awareness. That's it. That's all we are. Every single one of us, we are just awareness. And together we are collective awareness. And inside that awareness, this thing that we call reality arises based on a lot of weird quantum paradoxical phenomenon. It's fucking crazy when you start looking at it, how insane it all is, right? But it's like, that is our world. We live in an incredibly complex, multidimensional world. And guys, I'm telling you, the shit that's in movies is not even close to how crazy our reality is. It's way crazier than that because there's so much potential that we're not tapping into. And so what we want to get is, until we know how to take our awareness and unhook it from our conditioned mind, everything else pretty much you're going to experience is just from that conditioning. So the most crucial thing is to become aware of energy and higher states of awareness, so that as you view an experience that you've had in the past that didn't make you feel safe, that didn't have well-being, that maybe frightened the shit out of you, instead of looping in it and re-engaging it and reenacting in it, it actually fully resolves. And that's what it does. When you bring your awareness out into the field and then you watch an experience, the experience just moves through the system. It really is that simple. I wish I could tell you it's more complicated, because then we'd be like, throw us a lot of money and we'll take you the 5 steps to heal everything. But it's get out of the conditioned mind, watch the experience from a higher state of awareness, and the system takes care of everything else. So it's kind of like a 2 or a 3-step process. That's all that it takes. That's all that it takes. And so how do we find that awareness? Is by working with other people who've already activated that level of awareness and can transmit and mirror it to you. And if you're like, oh, you're just saying that because you want us to sign up for a program, I do want you to sign up for a program, but I'm not just saying that. Human beings work on this thing called mirror neurons. The way that we learn is we mirror each other energetically and through watching other people do things. And when your parents, when you were kids, they pointed at stuff that you were doing. And they're like, hey, sweetheart, you noticed when you did that? Did you notice when you do that? Did you notice when you did that? And the child eventually goes, yeah, I did notice that. And guess what? The mirror neurons learn, and you're activating your learning system. That's how humans learn. And so the only way you're going to continue to learn, it's not like that changes when you're an adult. The brain doesn't find some new way to learn. It continues to learn through mirroring. That's why also when you see how authority works and how your parents dealt with authority, it's how you deal with authority, because you learn that through mirroring. So we're inviting you to experiences where you can mirror a new consciousness, a new way of experiencing your own consciousness, not our consciousness, your consciousness. And what we're telling you is that we've been doing this for years now, is that the healing and transformation and growth that people that people want happens because this experience as a byproduct enhances people's experience of well-being and safety. And then every area of your life, health, wealth, relationships, is sourced from wellness and safety, not from a fight or flight response, which is what most people on this planet are doing. They're sourcing their reality from a fight or flight response. And so the quality of the energy that they create from is fight or flight. It's a shitty energy. It's a low vibration energy. If you want the things that you're manifesting in your life to change, then the quality of the energy behind the actions that you're taking is really what matters. And so these gaps of times that I'm pointing at are really what matter. This amazing thing happened. Now nothing's happening. Fuck. This amazing thing happens. But in between here is all the conditioned activation you have about why it won't be, the fear that I have. And so every time one of those things arises, it's not an experience of, oh my God, this isn't working. This is all the conditioning I have that doesn't make this work in the first place, that I've always had. So what I want to do is I don't want to look at these things and go, woe is me, I can't believe these things are happening. I want to look at, oh my God, look at this opportunity to clear that out of my system, enhance my experience of well-being and safety so that these timelines get shorter. That these experiences of synchronicity and magic, this intuitive hits, that this guidance system that we all have can start working at a really, really, really high level with us. And that's fundamentally what we do here, is we help you work in these periods of gaps and then notice these systemic kind of like synchronistic things that happen when you're in a relationship with this really divine matrix, or this divine field, right? Which is, again, I can get to all the quantum physics here if you want to, but I don't want you to snooze off. So I'm just going to say it that way. So guys, so here's the thing. We have our next intuitive mind event coming up September 25th and 26th. Okay. This is what we teach there. So if you're like, but how, we can't explain it to you. You have to experience it. That's how. This is not a mental architecture. We don't want to add more conditioning. We want to show you that there's a whole other experience that you get to have. And once you have it, it just opens that door, and you don't have to ask how. It just naturally starts unfolding into your reality. We call this ontological learning. Okay. You don't have to work on it. It works on you. That's why we know that it works, because whether you want to or not, the moment that door is opened, here it comes. Okay. So yeah, absolutely. Like someone's saying, it's a blissful experience. Like it will shock you, because it's an experience that you kind of like intuitively know that you get to have, but it's like no one can quite find how to have it. And so most of us are like chasing substances or medicines or whatever it is. Certainly I did all those things, like changing our state in some way to like have some opening, some sense that it can be different than the way that it is. And we're here to tell you, it really can be different than the way that it is. Okay. So next event, it's a Saturday and Sunday. We moved it back to a 2-day event after much deliberation. We think it works better that way. And you can go to, there you go, intuitivemind.live in your URL bar. There's a promo code here, and I'm giving to you guys because you're on these trainings. So I want to give you something for investing your time here with us. At checkout, if you put in $100, easy to remember, it will save you. Guess how much?
$500.
$500. It'll save you $100 on the ticket. Okay, and the tickets are honestly they're cheap to begin with for the experience that's delivered there as well. Okay, and so that's the game. Our invitation is come participate on these events Saturday and Sunday. Come get this training. Come have the direct experience. If you have any questions, even after you go to the page, watch the testimonials. I think that's more than anything else. Like watch testimonials. I can even play you guys out with some at the end of this training if you want today. Watch the testimonial so you can see people's experience. Like there's like an awe effect. So more than what they're saying, which is interesting, it's like, see if you can like tune into like how they feel. You're like, whoa, this person has been through something that was unexpected. This event is unexpected. We can tell you're going to walk into it and be like, 2 days later, and be like, I cannot believe I had no idea. It's like a whole other world was right in front of my eyes that I didn't know. And that is the reality that Elon and I believe that the whole of humanity is waking up to right now. Right? That's why we're going through this really intense period in our history right now, is to wake people up and go ask people like Elon, these migrations that people are having, where people are traveling, how they're not going back to their jobs. Like notice people are like, they don't fundamentally want low vibration. Everyone's looking, what's in my alignment? No, this area doesn't feel in alignment anymore. I'm going to move here. This job was fucking not in my alignment. I'm not going back to that. Like, and see how like this is kind of playing. Look beyond just the, like the contemporary way of looking at things. This is energetic. This is a spiritual experience that's happening. So if you guys again want to participate, you want to find out what this game is about, and if the event doesn't like knock your socks off, like I'm completely blown away, perfectly fine. Just ask for a refund. We're happy to send you the money back. We really just want only people who are like, they're like, damn, that was incredible. Otherwise, we shouldn't have your money. We should only get your money if you got a lot of value. That's it, right? So that's it. And if again you have any questions, we have our team scouring this group all the time, looking for people to support, doing reach outs to you guys who have raised their hand that you want it. So if you do want support, you have any questions at all you got to do is put contact in the chat box below. Or just write a post in the group and say, hey, I want some support. Any way that you want to do it. But if you put contact in the chat box below, then our team will directly contact you, send you information, and go back and forth with you on any questions that you might have about this event or anything else that we do here in training in our community. All right, guys. So please enjoy. I hope you had a good time in today's training. We love you very much. Thank you for being here. And I will play you out with some testimonials from our 2-day event, so you can kind of get a taste of the experiences that people had. But again, feel free to go to that link, check it out, and use that promo code $100 to save yourself $100 for a limited time. All right, friends, we love you very much. We'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.
You put words to something that is inexplicable. How do you try to convey, other than I hope the energy and the love you can feel coming through this, like how amazing and cracked open I feel. How after a life's journey of traumas and bliss and books and self-development and walking the Camino de Santiago, which was 800 kilometers in 33 days of meditation and being connected to earth and interacting with other pilgrims for all over the world. What an amazing experience that was. That changed me. But I can't tell you how much more 2 days with all these beautiful souls online in this event, how much more that even cracked me open, how that did crack me open, finally cracked me open. The deep-seated feelings of well-being, of connection, those aha moments, going into this with no expectations, with my heart open, it's life-altering. I sort of equate it to being when you first fall in love with someone and how blissful that is, and everything's great and wonderful, and then, it's the honeymoon period. But this is not that. This is the honeymoon period with yourself, which is never going to end. I cannot stress enough how much this is actually easy, as they had said. Come if you're called, come if you're engaged. My experience, I can tell you, is not atypical. It's extremely typical for those that open up and feel this connection together. Can you do things on your own? Absolutely. Can you do things one-on-one with coaches? Fabulously. I get chills saying this, can you grow in leaps and bounds when you connect with a large group of like-minded souls? The energy between us all, the love, that deep-seated feeling of wellness and connection. You're not alone. You're here for a reason. Nothing's a coincidence. It just all clicks and becomes this most beautiful experience. I hope for any of you that are remotely called to do this, that you will seek these people out, this organization out, this love out, because it's there for you. It's that easy.
I went to their 2-day event this last weekend, and it's just been such a phenomenal growth in my path. I felt like it's exactly what I've been asking for. I had this amazing ability to really, truly come inside myself, listen. So easy. I've been, quote, trying for years, but I think that was part of the problem. I was trying too hard. And when they mentioned just without effort, it almost gave me the permission to just literally feel and drop in and allow whatever was coming up. And in their meditations and in their deep energetic work, I felt so much that it was shocking to me. And I've been able to continue throughout the last few days since the event. And I'm just so grateful. I'm currently in some challenging times, and I feel like that was the missing piece. I've been trying to do it from my mind and not knowing how to really deeply go into my body and feel and heal. And that process was unleashed during this event, and I'm continuing it. And I'm so amazed at how easy and how effortless it really is. Been on a path of embodiment for many years. Lots of self-awareness and personal growth, but it's like that wasn't enough. I felt stuck, and I knew and I felt that there was a lot of stuck energy and, past pain and in my body, and I didn't know how to touch it, even with all the different modalities I've done. This is a missing piece that I've been asking the universe to show me, and when the student is ready, the teachers appear, and that's what has happened. And I'm excited to work with Guy and Ilan some more. And I'd encourage anybody who's thinking about this in this work event in the future to consider it, because it's really powerful, deep, transformational work. Thank you.
I just experienced the second 2-day intensive with Guy and Ilan and Satori Prime, and it's overwhelming. The number one thing is the support. 2, and I said this on day 1 of the 2-day, the abundance of honesty that comes out of this work is in and of itself medicine. Honest with yourself, honest with listening to other people and their stories, not taking it in to a point where it affects you, but taking it into a point where it allows you to feel and to move through it with them and within yourself. And that's what this program does. At least it has for me. And to feel all of the feels and to not be afraid of them and to have the support when you want to turn around and walk away, they say no. You don't have to. They don't tell you you can't, but they tell you you don't have to. And in doing so, it opens up so much more. The field of energy that was coming through on day 2 was so overwhelming that when my other half walked in to give me some news regarding one of my stressors, I didn't see him. I saw the energy and I saw the emotion, and I felt it. And I knew it. And I was so protected and so safe that moment alone was worth all the weight in gold. This is a powerful thing. I can see it changing my life in good ways, in ways that I still question, and in ways that I want to still question. Thank you to the entire Satori Prime family. Thank you. I'm better today than I was yesterday. I was better yesterday than I was 2 months ago when I signed up for round 1. And I can't wait to see where this journey takes me and us together, because I know that we're going to be better a month from now, a year from now, because we're doing the work. So, thank you. Mwah.
So I've been trying to find what happened to me that day, and the no traumatic experiences just kept happening to me. And it felt like each one, the next would be more extreme than the last. It didn't matter how many books I read, how much I prayed, how much I meditated. I went to counseling. I still am in counseling. I've been going to counseling my whole life. I had a life coach. I'm actually training to become a life coach as well. Working out, vision boards, affirmations, you name it, I did it. I wanted to know all about it, but it didn't help me stop my cycles. In that second meditation, I've come to aware that I took all of those moments for granted. And that was sad, and it was probably a really big disappointment to look at myself like that I have all of these beautiful days that I'm wasting, and I could be present for them all. Not only for myself, but for a lot of people out there. Sorry. No, I'm not, actually. I'm supposed to feel that. I'm gonna allow that in. Every experience can be different. It truly was a pivotal moment for me of where there was before this experience and after it. And I know that it's only catapulted me to only further my growth. And that to me is something that I can't thank enough, and I can't be more grateful for. So if you guys are wanting to do this experience, I encourage it. I encourage you to do as many experiences as you can, because it's life-changing and it's amazing. And I can't thank enough everyone, even for the mini groups and everything after it that they provide, is support with like-minded individuals that I honestly, I'm so filled with happiness and so much gratefulness in my heart that there's no dictionary to describe this kind of stuff, but I hope that I was able to, put it into a little part of a testimony for you guys and explaining it as the best I could. I love you all.
It's been a wonderful 2 days, emotional, and I just had to take a couple days to process it all, because it just seemed, but it was very, very intense, and it was a wonderful journey to be on, that's for sure. There's 2 reasons for me that hurdles that I kind of had to take. Excuses, right? We make up excuses for ourselves, and whatever they are. I don't have the money, I don't have the time, it's not the right time for me, or I can do it on my own, whatever. you have those excuses and you go back and forth in your own head. And the other thing was that I thought I could do it alone. That what I really needed was I needed help. And I actually came face to face with that. And so those two kind of things came to a head. Plus talking to Nikki and Corey, I decided, what can I lose, really, right? So you go back and forth in your own mind, and at least I do talk to myself too much. So I took the leap of faith, and I went and I took the 2-day course, and I am so proud and happy for myself that I did. It took me, like I said, a couple days to process it all because it was so intense, and just the collective. It's such a safe, loving, protected place to be. You don't have to be afraid. And if we're on the fence, going back and forth like I was, I recommend that you just do it. It's a gift for yourself. The support, the love, that's exactly what I needed. I needed to have someone to tell me that, I'm worth it, and that I'm not alone, that there's other people out there on the same journey, have the same feelings as well. Thank you so much for just being there. It's amazing. Love you.
Trying to put into words the experience that I had, which is actually quite difficult. I went on a journey for the best part of it. Guy and Alan are very, very good at guiding people. And obviously within this event, there was, around 50 odd people all sharing this experience with me, which created a very powerful energy field. And as they were guiding us and to get people to understand and help you understand certain aspects of yourself, we are multidimensional beings. We live in multiple realities at the same time. And I think what happens is we get pulled into this reality, as beautiful as it is, through our senses. And that isn't every reality. There is lots of other areas for us to explore. And Guy and Alan are very good at guiding you to open up these different pathways, these different realities. So for me personally, deeply connected to the earth, I felt almost just part of the energy field of the earth at times. I was connected to what I can only describe as beings of light, which were coming to visit me, even maybe ancestral parts of my ancestry, and that was a very powerful experience. And even beyond that, I was viewing the earth from the moon. There was a lot of visuals for me. And I found it very, very powerful to hear everyone else's story as well, and everyone else's experience, should I say. There was a lot of people, they were opening up parts of themselves that maybe hadn't been open for a very long time, and there was a lot of healing going on. And I found that absolutely amazing. I think for me personally, what I can bring from and what I've experienced, and what Guy and Alan really help with, is we have a very busy reality. We live very, very fast lives. We have been conditioned, or we've conditioned ourselves to live like this. Everything moves at quite a fast pace, including our thoughts now. I don't think it's always been like this. In fact, I know it hasn't always been like this. And so what this really helps you do is just take in the stillness of everything. And it allows you to really sink in and just allow that stillness to be. And that is by far the most powerful thing I took from this experience. And I think many others would do as well. And if you haven't been on it, I would definitely recommend going on it, 100%. Like I say, it's hard to put into words, the experience.
So I didn't know what to expect from the 2-day Intuitive Mind event. And honestly, I was a little bit anxious about spending that much uninterrupted time just focused on me. But I'm so glad that I followed my intuition and participated, because it far exceeded any expectations that I could have conceived before. Not only was the event itself powerful and transformative. But now it's 4 days later, and I have received daily more downloads, information, just insights that have been really special. There's been a new level of calm and peace and just trust in my body system since the event, and that alone is priceless. I can't wait for more events. I think Guy and Elon are so knowledgeable and supportive, and I can't wait to continue this beautiful journey with you. Thank you so much for the work that you do. I love you, and you're really making the world a better place. So thank you.
I pondered over doing this, trying to work out how do I explain what just happened. The first thing, I guess, for me, a lot of the energy workshops I've done is generally with women. It's generally, it's not unheard of that I go to events and there's me and 19 other women at these events, held space by women. I just seem to be more attracted to, I guess, the feminine, if you need a word. Or there's just not a lot of men going to these type of workshops. I never knew, I just go along. These two have cultivated within themselves the ability to hold gentle, loving space. And from a big-hearted man like me, that to me is priceless in itself. There's a little bit of a finding home. And for a weekend where I did fuck all, there was just space. Just space. To feel the transformation on the spot of people in the group from an energetic perspective, not from the words that they spoke perspective, I loved. What brought me to the event was just I'd only followed these guys, I stumbled across them, I've only followed them for a couple of months. And just went, well, that feels all right, I'm not going to do that. Did I have some resistance after that decision? Of course, I did, What am I doing? A couple of fucking randoms on the internet, shit. I have a little gullible piece, so I'm very wary of being taken advantage of. Yeah, so for you, it's a feeling. It's a feeling. It's not an intellectual decision. If you're making an intellectual decision, it might not be right for you. There is changes that are possible. You just need to put your hand up.
I've been on my self-development journey for 5 years now, and I have always had problems to sustain the energy in my body due to physical pains that I have. And these pains, they like feed the blockages that I have in my body. So falling into mind and stress and self-sabotage over and over again, for me it's just inevitable because I never really could hold that foundation inside, that was missing for me. And when I heard that Guy and Elon had a live event coming up, and somebody invited me if I wouldn't like to join, because that was exactly what I was looking for, to get unstuck in my energy and unstuck in self-sabotaging myself. So my mind went a bit haywire because I had a work weekend that weekend, and I didn't really have the financial means to join. So I thought it over, and I went to my boss, and I was able to switch my work weekend around, and I lent the money from my husband, and I could attend. So because I knew not going was, just something when it feels right, you've just got to get that. And that's what that event was for me. And during this event, what happened for me was I've never felt something like that before. Nearly at the end of the event, when we were invited to join an exercise, it just released a wave of ugliness and shame inside myself that flooded out me. I could see and feel all that blame, everything just flooded out. And what I realized was that I just forgave myself. And I didn't know that was a work that I still needed to do. And when that happened, it was as if my solar plexus just opened up when all that wave of ugliness and shame went outside my body. I can't explain it any otherwise. And I couldn't grasp these feelings that happened over the 2 days, but it was as if my body and soul were getting ready to release all that. So I didn't understand it. but my body already and my soul knew what was happening to me. And it was just amazing that everything inside myself knew that I couldn't carry those and handle those feelings anymore. So at the end of that exercise, everything that blocked me was just gone. And it was always as if my solar plexus was pushing me down. And now it is as if I have a strong person inside myself, like this strong energy that opens up. I don't know how to explain that. And it's just a feeling like, oh God. Even just expressing my feelings on camera like this, or being vulnerable, it's just nothing that I've ever done. So this is really new to me, and I'm nervous, but it's also exciting to just be able to do this and not hide underneath my stomach anymore and just being pushed away. So it's fantastic. And these are really exercise and tools that Guy used that everybody can learn. I think it's always been so overcomplicated to get in touch with your feeling inside that a lot of people are afraid to do that. And I just went in open-minded, and I just believe everything is possible now. You know, it's just, it's fantastic. It's really fantastic. I've never felt more like myself than I do today. So really, I appreciate you, Guy and Ilan. Thank you so much for the work that you two are doing with this beautiful community. And I just can't wait for the next live event to happen. So until we see each other again, all the best to you, and thank you very, very much for just setting me free and just making me smile the whole day. It's fantastic. Thank you.
I walked in with an open mind, and what I walked out with was a lot more than that. I walked out with an open heart, an open mind, and a whole new experience. And it was so worth it. A life-changing experience, I could call it that. I've never felt that way before. I have read many books. I have taken some courses. I have been working on my personal development. And I found the weekend has changed me forever. I felt at peace. I felt secure. I felt safe. I felt loved. And I felt completely tranquil and still. And it was an amazing, amazing, amazing experience, providing a very safe, comfortable, loving, supportive environment. They constantly reassured us. They were there to support us, and we could feel that. And I thank them so much for that. I felt like I was flying high that day, the point that I had reached through those 2 days in my experience, in my meditations. I have never reached that level before. Also, the people that attended in the group, everyone was amazing. Such great experiences, gave you so much perspective, insights on what everyone is experiencing and how we can, help support each other, learn from each other, and also build friendships in the Facebook group that we have. That is a wonderful thing. I'm checking it every day, and it's just amazing, the amount of beautiful souls out there, and I highly recommend this. And I hope you too come and join our live experience once again and see what it's all about. And you too will see that it is life-changing. And I thank you all, and I hope to see you there.
Thank you, dear one, for choosing to share a bit of your day with us. We value you greatly. And as a way to give back and help you to deepen these practices, we want to invite you to join our incredible community on Facebook. You can do so easily by going to joinoldsouls.com and ask for an invite. This is our private community where old souls and seekers are able to grow and share their journey with others. We hold exclusive weekly live streams, we answer your personal questions, and offer valuable insights that we won't be able to share here on the podcast. So again, just head to joinoldsouls.com and grab your invite today. And as always, if you enjoy this podcast, please head to iTunes and leave us a review. It's the only way other people can find this show. So if it's making a difference in your life, please share the love. Until we meet again, Have an amazing week, dear one.